Hi guys, so welcome back to another video. On today's episode, I'm going to be doing a bodywork on my IS200. I went out and bought a body kit on eBay from a local replica in the UK. He just builds bodywork. Excuse the parrots. So yeah, as I was saying, he builds the molds for the IS200. They're not exact, so they are replicas. So there is some final touches that need to be done. I'll show you now. Okay, so here is one of the side skirts. So far, what I've done, I've used 230 grit sandpaper to sand down the previous primer that was on it because I didn't like it, to be honest. And also, it had some small holes, like I don't know if you see it, but right there has small holes. There's some there as well, little ones. There's a bigger one there, and there's one there as well. So what I had to do, I just sanded it down, and then I used body filler. I've got to do the back bumper as well, so I'll show you how to do that. And basically I used Isopon, if that's how you say it. It's a multi-purpose body filler, and got the hardener as well. Just mix it together, use a little quantity, you place it over the imperfection that you have, leave it to dry for a little bit, and then I'll sand it. Okay, so here's the front lip. You've also got the rear. With this one, I think the seller, he had like a little hiccup here, and he tried to fix himself, but it looks like it wasn't a great fix, and the body filler is starting to come off now. It's quite loose. Don't think he used enough hardener, so I'll patch this back because it's quite noticeable. It goes quite in, so even though it's on the underside, I like it to be perfect. Yeah, so that's basically it. You got the two tabs screw into the bottom of the car. For the side skirts, you just screw it in from the sides, and I might use some double-sided tape just to get the corners right. Same again, two screws here. Yeah, so next step I'll do is sort out this body filler, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm gonna get a little bit of body filler. That should be sufficient. Then you get your hardener, a little tiny blob. The more you put, the quicker it will dry, and it acts like a catalyst. So just mix that in. I put quite a fair bit because I just want it done quickly. It's only a small area anyway, so I'm not doing a large area where it'll take time. I recommend if you're doing a large area in your car, put as little as possible, well, not as possible, but sufficient amount, so that you have enough time to make final touches before it dries, because it does dry pretty quick. Okay, so make sure the red's mixed in, then just kind of brush it across, and that's pretty much it. Make sure it's smooth and you're happy with that. Do some final touches on it elsewhere as well. I think that's it, to be honest. See, he's tried to do it there as well, but I don't think he put the hardener, so the body filler is just coming straight off. So see if I can get any extra on there. Right, so let that dry. Shouldn't take too long. And then we'll sand it with 240 grit, and then I'll use 400 grit just to get it down to smooth, and then we'll go straight to primer. So I picked this up from Halfords. It's just general grey primer. Just going to spray the whole body kit. This is before I wet and sand it with 400 grit, because I want to get rid of this primer that you use. I'm not a fan of it. It just looks a bit light as well. So that's the next step. Right, so I've taken out the sides. Now I'm going to put some primer on. Give it a good shake. what I tend to do is put it on some hot water, just put it in the hot water, just so the particles inside can warm up and it sprays much effectively. Give it a little test. Don't spray too much in one region or else you'll leave running spots and you get runs running down the paint. Even coats is best. Don't have to get full coverage all at once. That's good, even though you can still see the other grey. If you move it down and then come back to that later once it's a little bit drier. As you're spraying, give it a little shake once in a while. And then go over the part that you missed. Yeah, just keep doing that until you completely finish the bumper. Right, so the body filler has now dried. Make sure it's properly dry so there's no wet spots. When you're sanding it, it'll all come off otherwise. Got my little spray bottle because these are wet. I'm going to be using wet and dry. Got these from Halfords as well. It's just them, sorted. Got a 240. 600, 800 and 1200. So I'll be using 240 first and then the 400 to remove the major scratches. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I've already started, but use the 240, sand the body filler. Don't press too hard because you might rip out large chunks. Just let the sandpaper do the work. Just gently rub it, and then when it starts to get dry, spray your water. Keep going until you have a smooth surface and it's level. This I've already sanded down and that's smooth. That was where a patch was as well. This was the bigger one, so I'm doing that at the moment. Okay, so I've sanded it down. You can't even feel it anymore. If you looked at it and you rubbed your hands, you wouldn't think it was there. But yeah, that's filled out nicely. I also found another area which was more major than that. 1 second. So right in the corner, I didn't realise this, but it must have been in when it was being shipped. But this area, this chunk here, was missing completely. It was just fiberglass. You can see the fiberglass fibers on this side. So I filled it in with a body fill, and it's much better now. It's smooth and it's in line with the shape. So next step, I would say just give these a wash and then primer. Right, so the primer is now dried on all pieces mainly. That one's still a bit wet, but these side skirts are dry now. As you can hear, they are quite rough. Primer tends to be rough anyway, so what you'll need to do is use 400 grit, wet sand, get rid of the rough edges, you can feel them all, and then afterwards I'll use 600 grit to make sure it's a smooth surface, and then it will be ready for paint. So this is what I prefer, a darker primer, and it's a better primer in all because it allows the paint to hold on better. Okay, so this has now been sanded with 600 grit, and then I did a final of 1000 just to get a bit more smooth. Overall, it's alright. I'm quite impressed. Surface is very smooth. The only issues I had was obviously naturally when you're sanding, the edges will wear out more, especially here. But that's not a big issue to me personally, because I have primer underneath anyway, which is the grey primer that the seller used. So either way, I've still got primer on. You can definitely hear the difference as well. It's more rough, smooth. Okay, so now this side skirt is now ready for paint, which I've ordered. I ordered a colour match paint to the Lexus, so hopefully it'll be the exact same color codes. Just waiting that for that to arrive, and then this will be painted. So the rest of tonight, I'm just gonna sand the rest of these. It's already dark outside, and it's only 5 o'clock, half 5. So yeah, till the morning or until when the paint comes. Paint has arrived finally. It didn't take too long, to be honest. It was only a day. It's a ready mix paint, so it's basically the same as the color on my car. I just gave them my color code for the Lexus, which is 3PO, which is super red, and hopefully it should be the same color. So just gonna put a light coat down first. Open the door so I don't kill my birds. Okay, it's dark outside, so obviously I can't do any work outside. Came home for work and they gave me a call saying my paint has arrived, so I went and collected it as soon as possible so I can get this done. Right, give it a good shake. The reason I'm doing it in my garage is obviously because of light, and also I don't want any wind to blow any particles whilst I'm painting. Okay, so I'm going to give it a quick test. Alright. Spray evenly. Trying to avoid runs. You want at least 50%, maybe a bit more coverage. Spraying about 6-10 inches away. And that'll do for now. So yeah, you just want a light coat on first, and then once that dries, give it about 10-15 minutes, and go a little bit heavy on the second coat. Right, so this side skirt has 3 coats, which is fully completed. It's a little bit wet because I've just sprayed it. This will be the final product, except from the clear coat. It's got full coverage all the way around. So far I don't see any runs, which is good. And then this bumper, this side skirt, sorry, it's only got 2 coats. As you can tell, it's still got some grey on the sides from the primer, so still needs another coat on this, but unfortunately I ran out of spray very quickly. These really don't last long. But it's a good thing I've already ordered two more cans, but I'm just waiting for them to come. Just called them up and they said it'll arrive tomorrow. So looks like this is all I can do for today. Alright, so till tomorrow. So the next step would be clear coat or lacquer. I've left the paint to dry for about 2 to 3 hours. I lost count, but yeah. I've just put a light first coat and it's already starting to shine. It is raining, but that's England for you. I used another Halfords brand, Body Shop Lacquer. Apparently it's meant to give a professional body quality, and to be fair, even the first spray was pretty good. There's a wide angle spray at the end. Gets really good coverage. So just going to wait about 50 minutes for that to dry and then go for another coat. I'm thinking 3 coats just because I want it really shiny. And then after that, we'll be sanding it down with maybe 15 or 2000 grit sandpaper, and then give it a good polish, and that should bring the shine back out. Here we have the second coat down. It's still wet, but as you can see it's very shiny, but I don't know if it'll get darker as it dries. But so far it's looking very clean. No runs, which is very good. Just gotta wait for that to dry. I'm gonna do one more coat, mainly just for good measures, and also because I'm gonna be sanding it. I want to get a good layer down so I don't go through into the paint, the base coat. So one more coat and leave that to dry overnight. So your next step, once the clear coat is finally dried, I've left this about 12 hours overnight. This one I'm just doing now, so obviously that's fresh. Use some rubbing compound, or you can even go to 2000 or maybe 2500 grip sandpaper. I'm going to use rubbing compound because it's just quicker. I'm just going to use it on the buffing wheel. You want to sand down the surface to get rid of the rough edges on the paint. You can even hear the difference, like so you're putting pressure, don't hear anything. So I've done this area as a little test. Then what I've done is I used Meguiar's Ultimate Compound just to give it that polish. I've just briefly used it and it's already starting to give a good nice polish. As you can see, there's a reflection in this. When I go to the untreated part, no reflection whatsoever. A little bit, but not much. Reflection, no reflection. So that's the next step, so we need to go ahead. Right, so I've applied a little bit of rubbing compound onto the surface. You can use just your hands and buffing pads, but to save some time, I've bought a drill adapter from eBay, which I attach the buffers to, the pads. Allows me just to do it a bit more faster. Demonstration. Just like that. So you don't want to let it dry out because obviously you'll burn the paint. Once in a while put more rubbing compound, or sometimes I just like to mist, just to lightly mist the surface with some water just to keep it lubricated. And don't go too fast, especially with like a corded drill. They're really fast, so you're better off with like a proper buffing machine because it's obviously slower. But yeah, just take your time and hopefully it should turn out well. Okay, so when you're finished, you should achieve like a matte finish kind of way, like a chalky finish. I mean, mine's still a bit wet, I still got the rubbing compound, but if you compare it to like the part that's not done, that's really shiny, and then you get here. Camera doesn't do it justice, but it is more matte. And also check the surface with your finger if it's smooth compared to what it was. Okay. Once you've done that, go on to the Ultimate Compound. You can use any polishing compound, but I find that Meguiar's works best in my experience. Right, so I managed to bring the Lexus in by myself through this narrow gap somehow. Today I'll be trying to fit the front bumper, see how that goes. I've already went and bought taping screws, so first what I'll have to do is just take wheels off first, just so I can have access in between, so I can be able to screw it in. So we'll go ahead and do that first. Right, so what I've done so far, I've just kind of rested it on just to see how it looks and if it fits properly. Just use some old brake pad boxes just to hold it up, and it's looking quite mean, to be honest. I did scratch my existing bumper whilst putting it on, but this whole bumper I sprayed myself and I didn't do a very good job, so as you can tell it's two different colours. So either way I'm going to be respraying this again, so I'm not too bothered. next step, once I've drilled my pallet holes in the ends so I can secure it into the bumper, I am going to use some double-sided sticky tape, and this one's got like a foam, so it's kind of thick. So what I'll do, I'll just put it on the inside of there just so I can have some extra hold, because I'm not too trusting in the screws on the end only. So I'll put that there, and then I think that's it. There's no screws to be put onto the bottom. There's no tabs, so I think that's it. Unless I make my own, but we'll see. I'm thinking I might do one right in the middle, like a little bracket. We'll get to that soon. Okay, so I place the strips all the way along, including on the insides of the edges, just to be sure. I'm just gonna put it back on and trial fit it, and then stick it in place and see if it'll stay. And yeah, and then I'll use some self-taping screws. Not sure what size. I bought two. I got the 20mm and the 40. So we'll see how long I have to drill into the body. So we'll get to do that. Okay, so the double-sided tape worked really well. I was quite happy with it. It stuck most of it down. This ain't even holding it really, it's quite loose. That stuck down nicely. And the main reason I did it was because of these corners here. Obviously because this tape is spongy, it's going to move in and out. But I had to use spongy tape because if I used flat tape it just wouldn't stick at all. Just due to the contours of this here. But yeah, that's held on nicely. There is a little bit of gap, but it's not really, I can't really do anything about it. Can't really notice it from far. Same with this one. This one's a little bit worse. So there's a evident gap there. So what I might do, I might put another piece of tape inside, kind of push it in, see how it goes. But yeah, I've turned my wheel so that I have access to here. I was going to take the wheel off, but I thought of this and it's actually easier. What I'll do next, I'll just drill 2 pilot holes and use my self-taping screws, and that should be it. Okay, so got 2 screws in, bumper's on properly, and it seems to have pulled corners in more, which I'm happy about. Hopefully I do that with the other side, because that one's worse. However, I'm kind of pissed because I managed to ding my alloys, and these are plastic dipped. I touched it with the drill whilst I was doing it, but hopefully I should be able to touch it back up. It's just that area there. But yeah, seems alright so far. That was caused by when I was test fitting the bumper. So I just end up probably just sanding that off and then respraying it. It's only a small area anyway. Yeah, so now on to the other side. Alright, so there you have it. Both sides completely done. Screwed in. You have to be very careful when you're doing this because it's fiberglass, and I did manage to like chip it a little bit, but nothing too major. I did pilot hole, but still managed to chip. But so far it's alright. Not sure if I'll be doing the bracket as I said before, because it's on there pretty well, to be honest. It's only if you like proper yank at it, but the tape has held on really well. The only thing I don't really like is obviously the gap that I mentioned before there, but it's not noticeable up far anyway. This side doesn't really have it, so I don't know if not centered properly, but overall I'm happy. Car definitely does sit lower. Looks like it's been lowered, but it hasn't. So yeah, next thing I need to sort out is this body and the paint work on it. Previously, like half a year ago, I did respray it, but I never got around to putting the clear coat on. and to polish it properly like what I did with this one. So there is a little bit of a difference in the paint. So once I've got all the rest of the body panels on, like the sides, that'll be the next project. Okay, so it's been 24 hours since I did anything to the Lexus. Today it's kind of windy, the sun is out a little bit. First what I did, I took the wheels off just so I can have access to the back. The body isn't, the side skirts isn't on yet. Place it on, it does hold quite well without anything at all. Fitment, I would say is about 7 out of 10. I mean, it's not the best fitment, but it works. The only issue I mainly have is here. As you can see, there's a gap. So I doubt screws, when I screw it in, will pull that together. So I'm not sure what I'll have to do there. So only unless on the inside, like right at the front, maybe I put like a screw there, so when I push it in and screw it down, it will hold. But we'll see if it does work out well. But overall, it's not too bad. What I had to do is on my car, I've got two plastic pieces which are like dirt. It stops the dirt from getting into the underbody of the wheels. So this one's on the front. There's only 4 screws. They're just normal screws, like them. And then for the rear, there's another one there. That's got 3. It's kind of a bolt, but you can also screw it as well as a 10mm. And that was just under there. And in there was like a load of dirt, debris, which is over there. So I've scraped all that out. It's all clean. So I recommend doing that before putting this on. Those, I'm not sure if they'll go back on the car. I think I might leave them completely off. Check the front. Yeah, I think I might leave them off. I'll put the screw back in there and I'll leave it off. But yeah, next step, I would say I'll use my double-sided tape, put it in the corners, especially on the sills, going straight along. Don't think the bottom, yeah, I think I might put some on the bottom as well, because that is touching, so that will hold nicely. And after I've done that, just start screwing. On this body, this side skirt, sorry, I've got indents for where screws need to go. So if you look here, if you can see it, where am I? There we are. Right there's like an indent. I'll screw there, or even there somewhere. Probably put it there actually. Yeah, this goes all the way along, and hopefully that should hold it on properly. But at the moment, it doesn't move or anything, and that's just without nothing at all. So yeah, we got to that. Okay, so there's my first hole done. I'm just gonna pop a screw in that now. I'm thinking two more screws, probably one there, one up here, but I have to be careful not to miss. It's so cold out here. Put my glove in here so I don't damage my plastic dip on my rims, like what I did yesterday. It is freezing, absolutely freezing. My hands are cold. I got my gloves on still, and they're still freezing. I got long johns on. I got my beanie hat, still cold. The sun's out, but it's freaking cold in here. But you gotta do what you gotta do, eh? Not half bad. That's how we're looking so far. Starting to like it. It's not bad at all. Honestly, this car's been in this family for since 2005, and I've taken it over for the past year. Done quite a lot to it recently, but yeah, it just needs a bit of love and affection to get it back running. Engine wise, perfect, nothing wrong with that. Just the body just needs a little bit of love, that's all. Slowly but surely we'll get there. There it is, guys. One side skirt completely done. Got the 2 screws in this side. I did flake it a little bit in the corner there, but not too noticeable. Thinking to either get some red caps to cover it, the screws, or just paint them red just so it's not as easily seen. Underneath, there's the 3 screws I was telling you about before. 1, 2, that's the other one, 3. They held on quite nicely. Bodywork is properly on there, not moving. The only area of concern I would say is here. It's got a little bit of flex, not much. Now that gap did close, but down here it's still a little bit exposed. I don't like that it's missing a piece. I guess that's just design flaw. You should have left the sides to keep going a little bit up more, up to about here, but that's okay. Overall, not too bad. I decided just to put 2 screws. I think that's sufficient, especially how I've got the strip of tape, so that held it on anyway. But yeah, that's one side done. Just gonna pop the wheel on and see how it looks. There we have it, ladies and gents. Both 2 side skirts completely done. Another full day, well, say full, about 2.5 hours. But I had to run and get supplies because I ran out of tape, the double-sided tape. So that took me about half an hour. But yeah, not too bad, you know. Not too bad at all. Obviously it doesn't look as good because the car's dirty, but both sides are completely on. It's the other side. Does make the car look bulkier, which I kind of like. Looks beefier, especially the front. The front's changed it a lot. Definitely much wider, and it looks like it's been lowered, but it hasn't. It's just standard shocks. So that's it for today. It's getting really cold now, so last bit is just the rear. I'm still working on that. That's in the garage at the moment. I did the clear coat about 2 days ago, so I'm just going to buff it just to get the shine out, and then it'll be ready to go on to the bottom. That might be a pain as well because I have to remove both rear tyres to get access, but maybe take that on to tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, so for the rear, same thing again. I use the double-sided tape. You can see some of them. I'm just going to trim that off there. Double-sided tape all around the edges, just on the top. The bottom doesn't really touch. And then we've got the 2 screws on the end. Had to take the wheel off for this because I need access to drill. So we got that sorted. It's nicely around the exhaust. Yeah, and again, need to trim the excess double-sided tape off. Fitment's pretty good on the rear, to be honest. Fits really nice. And yeah, there's 2 screws. And that, my friend, completes the body kit for the Lexus. Overall looks pretty nice. The rears could do with a bit more beefiness, it looks more bigger, but it's alright. I think my favourite would be the front skirt. Looks the best. Definitely the front. Changes the whole look of the car. Definitely does look better. Okay, so everything's all complete for the bodywork on the Lexus. I gave it a wash just then, so everything's squeaky clean, even the alloys. Did get these the other day, some crown studs, dust caps. Look alright. The reason I got crown is because obviously I got Koenig, so it kind of matches. But yeah, Lexus is alright. It's getting there finally. Next step, I would say, next few weeks or so. I'm going to sort this body panel out. I'm going to respray this because it's got loads of scratches. I think it was previously an accident just before I bought it, and I think I resprayed it and probably didn't do too good of a job. And then also I need to get rid of the fogginess on the headlamps and just touch up a few areas. Paint. Yeah, I need to respray all my door handles because the clear coat was peeling off and looked really bad, so I sanded it down, and then that was really bad, so I had to sand it down just to the bare plastic. So they need to come off, be redone. I did have a door dent here a while ago, and I just quickly sprayed it just to hide it. But yeah, it hit a lamp post when getting out, so that needs straightening out because it is a little bit bent. As you can tell, straighten out, sort that out. And yeah, I think a tint is needed. So yeah, that concludes this video, guys. Hope you guys liked it. Any questions, anything, just leave a comment down below. Make sure to hit that thumbs up and give me a subscribe because it really helps grow my channel. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.